CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. There's a plan to lower electricity bills for low-income renters. The idea is to get more landlords to invest in heat pumps by offering them subsidies. And then the landlords are to pass on the savings to their tenants. But will it work? Matt Gilmore has more.
They're efficient and effective, and Hydro-Quebec is ready to spend big to have them installed in rental units across the province.
That measures will result in nearly 120,000 households that will have access to high-performance heat pumps.
The subsidy is for landlords whose tenants pay their own electricity bill. Hydro-Quebec will cover up to 55% of the purchase and installation costs on the condition the tenants benefit from the savings.
That will decrease their electricity bill by about 20%, which is about $250 a year.
The Quebec Landlords Association says in principle it's a great idea, but questions whether the incentive is enough to get landlords to act.
Remains to be seen the effect on the rent, and the maintenance of those equipment might be costly.
Maintenance costs cannot be passed on to tenants, and Hydro-Quebec says it will be monitoring to make sure the subsidies don't lead to rent increases and rent evictions.
Hopefully we'll be able to mitigate the risk.
Nearly half of the $350 million investment will come from the government of Quebec. The economy minister calls it a good deal for landlords.
Having heat pumps in your apartment block will give it more value, and it will, we think, make it more attractive also.
I don't think that it's going to add value to the building unless it raises the rent. The value of a building is mainly the rent. It's a business.
Martin Messier says the association will run the numbers before recommending the program to its members. But the environment minister suggests eventually landlords might not have a choice.
We're targeting obviously the buildings because the buildings have not gone to that energy transition fully, so we are giving them that incentive. Eventually they'll have to do that transition as well.
The program is part of a much larger 10-year, $10 billion plan to make Quebec more energy efficient and relieve pressure on the grid. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
People in a condo in Lachine say they've been without hot water for 20 days. But building management is promising that relief is on the way. Here's Sweeta Rassi.
A kettle, a bucket, and lots of patience. That's how Amanda Savoy has been showering for the past 3 weeks.
We're trying our best to see if we can go to different families' houses to shower from time to time when we're kind of fed up of having a bucket shower.
Savoy says it all started on May 1st when she heard a noise in the hallway.
I opened the door, and that's when I saw just so much water just pouring down from the ceiling. At that point, I immediately called 911.
Since then, residents in this condo building in Lachine have been without hot and potable water. Savoy has been getting through by constantly boiling water and drinking from plastic bottles. Outside in the hallway, walls have been gutted, insulation stripped, while work is being done to find out the cause of the break. Residents were given the option to turn the hot water back on, but they were told that if they do, there could be another leak. So Savoy says they decided to keep it off. What has frustrated her the most is the lack of communication.
We're not taken seriously at all. Like, honestly, we're left in the complete dark.
The building's property management company disagrees, saying they have been in communication with owners.
The transparency and the reactivity of my team was pretty on the ball.
CEO Marc Morin says given the scope of the problem, the timeline is not out of the ordinary. He says 2 pipes in the building collapsed. The cause, however, is still under investigation.
They're trying their best to do it as fast as possible, but they also have fiduciary duties to make sure that the building is repaired properly and addressed in the proper way.
Morin says it will likely take 3 to 4 months for everything to go back to normal. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Concordia University is warning of more job cuts and cuts to some programs. Concordia President Graham Carr says the university must cut its operating budget by 6%. The university began making cuts in 2023. That was in response to a loss in enrollment because of higher tuition fees for out-of-province students and because of Quebec budget cuts. The university says it is hoping to see an improvement after this coming year. They are trying again to grow the Montreal melon. It's being planted on the former Blue Bonnets racetrack. That's where the city has plans for a major new neighborhood. Matt Grillo reports.
Garden trowel in hand, this group is planting the latest batch of Montreal melons, trying to produce the rare fruit that disappeared decades ago. Organized by Multicaf, a Montreal food bank, this is the third year the Blue Bonnets micro farm plants the Montreal melon, trying not only to recreate the look, but also the taste.
I think that it's going to take a little while before we get to something that is really closer to what they used to have back then.
It's not easy to do. Pierre Cardinal says his grandfather produced Montreal melons a century ago.
There's
no one alive today who knew the melons of that era, he says. All of this work is being done on the grounds of the Hippodrome. But the city and province have big plans for this land. The Namur Hippodrome project has been promised, and the development would create 20,000 new homes. Quebec even tabled Bill 22 to help the city develop the Hippodrome site. In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson from the mayor's office said, Namur Hippodrome sector represents a major opportunity. We are following developments in Quebec City very closely around Bill 22, as it could play an important role in helping accelerate the deployment of this project and provide greater flexibility in how it is delivered. Even with these major plans, the micro farm hopes it can have a space alongside some new neighbors.
Our goal is to be considered by the city to be part of the project. And what the Melon Montréal does, it's also acting as a kind of a mascot for that.
And these gardeners are hoping to produce the perfect Montreal melon.
We have some indication, the color, the taste, sugar taste, so we'll see. It's an experience. I want to taste one at the end of summer is the reason I'm here.
They plan to harvest this crop in late August, and they hope they're one step closer to recreating a piece of Montreal's history. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
There are fraud charges in connection with the pandemic-era Canada Emergency Response Benefit, the CERB. 8 people from Montreal, Ottawa, and Gatineau have been charged. CERB was designed to help people who were out of work because of the pandemic. The 8 people are charged with using cyber fraud to steal identities, accessing Revenue Canada accounts, and fraudulently applying for benefits. A court date is set for July 7th in Montreal. Quebec's oyster industry is in trouble. Diseases are spreading throughout the East Coast farms, and that's leaving producers and sellers scrambling. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil reports.
Shucking oysters is usually second nature for Zach Eberts, but these days, getting his hands on them is the hard part.
You'd always get top-notch oysters, and all of a sudden we were finding a lot of issues with they would show up and right away there would be dead oysters.
The industry is being hit hard by 2 diseases spreading through oyster farms on Canada's East Coast. The culprits, MCX and Dermo. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency first flagged the diseases in 2024. Now they are wiping out a significant portion of the harvest along the East Coast. Ebert says it's forced him to scale back his selection, but he says oyster farmers are paying the biggest price.
They're pulling up cages and there's 90 to 100% mortality.
And because oysters can take years to reach maturity, some farms could be feeling the impact for a long time. At Poissonnerie Atwater, Jean-Sébastien Bernard says things rapidly got worse last fall.
We threw a lot of oysters at that time, at least 20% of a case, so 20 oysters per case.
Now every single oyster gets a closer inspection before it reaches a customer. First comes the tap test, then the smell test. Bernard says a full recovery could still be years away.
This is what's happened down the States, so it's take 2 years down until the oyster is going to find his way to fight the bacteria.
With local supply unpredictable, some shops are turning to European and American oysters to keep shells on ice. But Ebert says political tensions are making some customers reluctant.
We literally would have clients come in, I can't find oysters anywhere in the city. Do you have oysters? Yeah, where are they from? they're from, East Case, US. I don't want them, and they'd walk out of the store. I mean,
with no quick fix in sight, many in the industry are bracing for a long road ahead. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
Two new polls seem to show that the new Premier and CAQ leader Christine Fréchette is giving her party a boost. A new Léger poll shows that support for the CAQ is now at 22%, and that's up 5 points from last month. The PQ is still in first place, but down a point at 30%. The Liberals are second at 28%. And another poll from Main Street Research has support for Christine Fréchette and the Liberals higher. In that survey, almost 25% of Quebecers said they would vote for the CAQ. The Liberals here are in first place with 30% support. The PQ sits at almost 23%.
First of all, quite impressive numbers. It shows to me that the public opinion right now is very volatile. Anything can happen. And it confirms to me that we're heading towards a three-way race in Quebec politics, especially in certain regions where we're going to see some tight races there. And in a three-way race, when everybody is either around or under 30%, anything can happen in the next election, and probably a minority government if the election were held tomorrow.
The Montreal Canadiens are now in North Carolina. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals is tomorrow. The Hurricanes swept their opponents in the first 2 rounds, but the Habs have proven they thrive on being the underdog. Here's Kelly Gregg.
The Carolina Hurricanes are moving on to the Eastern Conference Final.
It's been a perfect run. The Carolina Hurricanes have yet to lose a game this postseason, earning 2 shutouts, the first team to start 8-0 since 1985.
I think the Hurricanes expect to be here and they expect to take another step. That's what they want to do.
So does that make the Canadiens the underdogs or the underestimated?
There's no reason why we wouldn't see them do as well as they have in playoffs, because the way they played is a playoff grinding game, and it showed those first 2 series and against 2 good teams that they beat, so it's going to be a great challenge.
Carolina finished first in the East. In the playoffs, the combination of Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, and Jackson Blake have combined for 31 points, and that's just their second line. During the regular season, the Canadiens beat the Canes all 3 times and outscored them 15-8. Carolina's head coach was asked today about that translating into the playoffs.
Certainly hope not. If that trend, we don't want that to continue.
The matchup also pits a 13-year veteran goaltender, Frederik Andersen, against a rookie sensation.
Andersen is maybe the most even-keel guy you'll ever meet. There's not any highs or lows. No matter what happens, he's the same guy every day in practice, after games, whatever. Dobish is an emotional guy. And that can go well or it can go badly for you.
Carolina advanced to the Eastern Conference Final all the way back on May 9th, while Montreal has been battling it out in back-to-back Game 7 series, playing all the way up until Monday. And that brings up the question for Carolina of rest versus rust. But fans are raring to go in 2 very different hockey cultures.
The tradition of Montreal and the Southern hockey tailgating and all that. It's very different vibes, and it's 2 fan bases that do it right in very different ways.
The Canadiens have upset 2 teams that finished ahead of them in the standings, now getting ready to face the team that topped the conference and hoping to spoil that perfect playoff run. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
Meanwhile, police are warning Canadiens fans that fireworks will not be tolerated. Game 1 is in North Carolina, but there will be watch parties across the city. Well, today, Montreal police issued a statement. They say that there will be 0 tolerance for certain activities, specifically fireworks, smoke bombs, or smoke-generating devices. They will all be banned during gatherings in the city.
The approach is 0 tolerance, and it's not about criminalizing the celebrations, not at all. It's about the simple reality is the devices can cause injuries, trigger crowd movement, like I said, endanger people. So it's just safety. And we've seen this on the field. People are concerned. People are concerned, and people collaborate with us. We've seen it in during the last Habs game on Monday, where people are pointing at people starting the fireworks.
Offenders face a fine of $500 to $5,000. Well, the Montreal Victoires are in Ottawa tonight. They're hoping to win the Walter Cup. The Victoires lead 2-1 in the best-of-5 series. And Annie, a lot of people excited about this series. I mean, these two cities are so close to each other.
They really are, Mitsumi, and just to show kind of like that camaraderie but also the competition, I talked to one fan who actually has seasons tickets in both Ottawa and Montreal. So she's up here hoping that both teams win, but she said more so Montreal. People are excited, and a big reason is because this is the first all-Canadian final. The first time that regardless of whether it's Montreal or it's Ottawa, a Canadian team will win the Walter Cup, be able to say that they are the championship. Now, this is only a league that's been around for 3 years. Ottawa was in the finals last year, lost to Minnesota, who also won the inaugural cup in 2024. But I can tell you the vibe is electric. There were nearly 17,000 people at the Canadian Tire Centre where the Ottawa Senators play the last game. It's expected to be pretty similar tonight, and that's huge considering that the Ottawa Charge usually play in a much smaller arena in downtown Ottawa that has a capacity around 9,000 people only. So to get nearly 17,000 is record-breaking, and it's huge. Here's what some of the fans had to say before the game started.
Exciting being in the finals for the PWHL, and I am representing the fan base in all sparkle and red and gold for the Charge.
Excited. It's the fourth game. We'll see what happens, but I like both teams. I have season tickets for both.
They work so hard. They've been through ups and downs all the season. They went from 6th to 4th place, and they never gave up.
It's great. I actually came from Halifax, Nova Scotia, just to see this game. Yeah, I love all of the teams, and I was really excited to come here today.
Oh, it's amazing to be here, and we want to win the cup. So let's go, Victoire!
Now, these teams are extremely well matched. They both have some of the best goalies in the league. And to show you just how close it is, Mitsumi, the first two games went to overtime. The third game, Ottawa won within less than a minute left in the game. They got that winning goal. And so tonight, really anything can happen, but these fans are excited. Regardless, a Canadian team is going to win this Walter Cup. Those of you in Montreal want it to be the Victoire tonight. The cup is here in the building in Ottawa. Ottawa fans say, we lost last year to Minnesota. It's not happening again. So we'll find out potentially in a few hours, Mitsumi.
Okay, thank you very much for this, Annie. And that's Annie Bergeron-Oliver in Ottawa. And some students at the study in Westmount were sporting Victoire jerseys today. After the school held a Jersey Day to celebrate the Habs playoffs, one student, Molly Bowen, asked why the school wasn't also celebrating the PWHL. So the school responded with its first Jersey Day in honor of the Montreal Victoire. And that caught the attention of the Victoire, and Molly was invited to a Victoire playoff game. Molly organized the Victoire Jersey Day with her best friend. They are hoping this will become an annual tradition.
They're also a Montreal team, and we can't just support one. We should probably support both. Women are also really important. They really never give up. They're hardworking. That's what I admire about them.
Good for them. Coming up, taking advantage of people who buy Canadian.
It's not fair. It's not right. I want to know where it's coming from.
There are more companies who are getting into what's known as maple washing. And health officials say one person in Ontario is being tested for Ebola. There are a growing number of complaints against companies for maple washing. That's when retailers and producers misrepresent their products to appeal to the Buy Canadian movement. Abigail Beeman reports.
You tend to look for origin on what you buy?
Yes, I do. I try to get Canadian.
Trade tensions with the U.S. have many shoppers looking to buy Canadian where possible, and they tell us they don't appreciate attempts to maple wash.
People are trying to sort of vote with their dollars when it comes to what they want international policy to be.
It's not fair. It's not right. I want to know where it's coming from.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says complaints about maple washing are on the rise, 400 since the start of 2025 when the trade war heated up.
Classic situations of false representations or misleading advertising.
Joey Zukran is one of the lawyers behind a yet-to-be certified class action lawsuit taking aim at a string of stores with examples like a maple leaf beside a can of soup that says product of USA and tomatoes advertised as a product of Canada that say product of Mexico.
The allegations in the lawsuit are clear that this was done to attract or touch on the sensitivity that many Canadians have shopping, especially in these times.
Not all products at Canadian grocery stores are even required to have their country of origin listed. There's no official logo for Made in Canada, and according to the CFIA's own website, a maple leaf on a product doesn't necessarily mean it's Canadian.
We need stronger penalties. We need greater enforcement.
In addition to consumer confusion, this entrepreneur lecturer says maple washing is unfair to Canadian suppliers who can lose business in the process.
Some kind of a certification mechanism would help.
Of the big retailers, only Sobeys and Loblaw responded to a CTV News request by deadline. Both acknowledged some isolated incidents they say they worked quickly to fix. Loblaw companies were slapped with 2 of the 7 fines the CFIA handed out. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Ontario's Ministry of Health is saying that there is one person in that province that is being tested for the Ebola virus. The person has just returned from East Africa and is now in hospital. Officials also say that all appropriate infection prevention and control measures are in place. Earlier today, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand said Ottawa is closely monitoring the spread of the Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo and in Uganda.
Global Affairs Canada is not aware of any Canadians affected by the Ebola virus outbreak in the DRC or Uganda. Consular officials are standing ready to provide assistance to those who are requesting it.
Ottawa is advising Canadians not to travel to the region. There is no vaccine for Ebola, nor is there treatment. The current outbreak has already killed 139 people, and there are more than 600 suspected cases. Canada has summoned the Israeli ambassador over what's being called the mistreatment of civilians aboard a flotilla bound for Gaza. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says video of detainees released by Israel's national security minister is, quote, deeply troubling. Israel's Navy intercepted 41 boats in international waters near Cyprus on Monday. They're trying to deliver aid to Gaza. Activists say 11 Canadians were among those who were detained. Ottawa is nominating the head of Canada's military, General Jenny Carignan, as a candidate for a top role in NATO. Carignan would be the main military advisor to NATO's Secretary General, Mark Rutte. An election to find a successor for the outgoing chair of the NATO Military Committee is set for September. If she is chosen, Carignan would have to step down as Chief of the Defense Staff, a role she's held since 2024. The U.S. is putting more pressure on Cuba. Today, it filed an indictment against former Cuban President Raul Castro. It's over a fatal attack on 2 planes in 1996.
Charging Raul Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals.
Raul is the younger brother of former Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. He is now 94 years old. He and 5 co-defendants are charged with murder and with destroying an aircraft. 30 years ago, Cuban military jets shot down 2 civilian planes flown by Cuban exiles. 4 people were killed. And coming up, what are the risks for breast cancer?
Having access to data like this is really just so crucial for decision makers and policymakers to have a better understanding of where resources are really needed.
Outside the big cities and in racialized populations, there are more cases of breast cancer. And in California, evacuations from fast-moving wildfires.
tonight.
What I don't understand is how they get it in.
Bag tag switching victims want to know how the drugs they were wrongly accused of smuggling even made it into the airport.
It's like an open barn door where you can come and go at will.
Whistleblowers expose security gaps they say are putting passengers at risk. Tonight on CTV News and ctvnews.ca.
The U.S.-China summit last week was the first in nearly a decade. There was talk of trade, but also of Taiwan and the Middle East. China and the U.S. are called the world's two superpowers, but the U.S. might not be quite as powerful as it once was. Meanwhile, in China today, the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, was meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Kyle Matthews is with the Montreal Institute for Global Security. Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
So, Kyle, international observers are saying that China at this point has more leverage now than the United States. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Well, in some ways, China does. I mean, we've seen China and the U.S. fighting over trade, the Trump's tariff wars, and China didn't really, back down from that. We've seen the U.S. is now bogged down in the Iranian war. It's claimed that it's won the war, but yet the Straits of Hormuz and oil is not coming out. So it looks like the U.S. is not as strong as it is, and the U.S. is also fighting with its allies, something that China and Russia are happy about. So I would argue that right now the U.S. is not as powerful as it thinks it is or it was in the past.
And then when you add to that, last year when Trump tried to threaten China with tariffs, China won that round, didn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Chinese, it's not a democracy. They can flex their muscle. They can withhold pain in order to achieve objectives. And yeah, China didn't budge. The U.S. thought they would be able to inflict economic pain and get rewards for it, but the opposite happened. And we see that outcoming of this meeting. There wasn't a lot agreed upon.
And as you said, there is that war in Iran, Kyle. I mean, Trump has shown now that he can start a war and not be able to end it. How do you think the Chinese see that?
Well, first of all, Iran is a key ally of China, and China has been helping Iran, with satellite technology, all sorts of different defense equipment and intelligence. So China is a part of the conflict, as well as in the conflict of the invasion of Ukraine with Russia. So somehow Trump thinks he can get a deal with China without realizing that they're deeply entangled together. At least China and Iran are, and it really is a bit surprising to watch this unfold.
China is also very focused on Taiwan. There was even a bit of a veiled threat, Kyle, that if it's not handled well, they said there could be a clash with the U.S. What exactly does Xi Jinping want from Trump?
He wants the U.S. to stop arming Taiwan. He wants the U.S. to give up its strategic position of ambiguity. The U.S. has said for the longest time that it wouldn't or would not get involved if there was an invasion of Taiwan. So they want the U.S. to back off because they want to unify with Taiwan against Taiwan's will. And in response, Taiwan said, our sovereignty is not for sale. So this is a touching point and one of the big takeaways of the meeting.
Xi Jinping, meanwhile, was meeting with Vladimir Putin today. What do you think we can read into that?
Well, it's quite significant. I mean, first of all, Trump walked away from the meeting with a promise of China to buy more agricultural products and buy airplanes, but nothing was signed. Putin signed 20 contracts today, 20 agreements. So it shows that they're actually perhaps further aligned as allies. And it's a bit of a snub to Trump that Putin came in and had all this, agreed to, and the U.S. kind of left not entirely empty-handed, but with no great pomp, something that Trump could wave and say that, hey, we walked out of here with a great deal.
And some people have suggested, Kyle, that Xi Jinping knows exactly how to play to Trump's ego. What do you think?
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. I think, and I think a lot of the authoritarian countries around the world see this, that Trump is a narcissist, he's egotistical. So if you give him a big parade and, name some statue after him or some future soccer stadium, he'll just be happy with that. And that's enough. And I think they know his personality profile and know how to go after him psychologically.
So finally, Kyle, two leaders, they're to meet again later this year. What do you think we can expect between these two countries going into the future?
I think we're going to see increased tension. The U.S. sees China as a rival that could push it out of Asia and become the leading power. The Americans don't want that, and China wants to become the leading power. So I think these tensions are not going to go away, regardless if Trump's in the White House or another president eventually. These are structural challenges between the world's two largest economies and military powers.
Okay, thank you very much for this, Kyle.
Thank you.
Several severe storms hit southwestern Ontario yesterday. Thunderstorms and strong winds swept through several regions. At one point, many communities were under tornado warnings. Some of the heaviest damage was in London, Ontario. And in Southern California, there are wildfires, more than 17,000 people under evacuation orders. The fires are moving quickly, fanned by strong winds. One fire is about 50 kilometers from Los Angeles.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, the warmer weather continued right here at home as early as at 10 a.m. this morning. We had the humidex at 29 degrees. We are still seeing those warm temperatures right now, sitting at 21 in Montreal and over in Sherbrooke, and that is spot on with our normal daytime high right now. But we did make it up higher than that. We were at a temperature of 24 earlier today. That to say, we are looking at a bit of a move down. So it should be a cooler night this evening. We're looking at a low of +6. That's along with a few clouds in the skies. And tomorrow morning, we're expecting things to feel quite a bit different than they did today. So tomorrow, our wake-up temperature is looking like +7 degrees, but that should come along with a fair bit of sunshine, and we are expecting to hold on to that sunshine as we head into the afternoon. For our daytime high tomorrow, we're looking at a temperature of 17, and we are also expecting some winds gusting through to blow those clouds away, making way for that sunshine. So our futurecast showing us that. And then, of course, we have the activities surrounding the Grand Prix. That kicks off tomorrow. Heading into Friday, we're looking at a temperature of 19 along with even more sunshine, so some good news there. Saturday is looking a bit more overcast with some clouds rolling in, a daytime high of 21. And then get ready for Sunday and Monday. That is when we are forecasting some precipitation. So that's going to look like a 40% chance of roughly 2 millimeters coming in on Sunday. And then come Monday, we could get another 4. So if you're headed out to the race, you'll want to have your umbrella and rain gear with you, certainly. Insofar as those daytime highs, looking at temperatures in the mid to high teens for Sunday and Monday. But we have some good news as we look toward the middle of next week. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we are looking at a return to a mix of sun and cloud. And Tuesday is looking like another warm day. We could hit that high of 26 degrees. And by Wednesday, we're looking at that temperature coming down just a bit to a high of 22.
Hosting the World Cup in Canada will not come cheap. According to the federal budget watchdog, the Games will cost Canadian taxpayers over $1 billion. Just over half that money will come from Toronto and Vancouver. Ottawa, though, will pay for the rest. Canada is hosting 13 matches with an estimated cost of $82 million per game. The costs are in line with what past World Cups have cost. The Snowbirds are in their farewell season. The Saskatchewan town near their home base is bracing to take an economic hit. Here's Alison Bamford.
The legendary Snowbird jet, an emblem of Canadian pride and an iconic symbol that puts Moose Jaw on the map.
We're road tripping back from Kingston. Me and my girlfriend just graduated, and we're stopping by all the big things.
Sam O'Brien first saw the aerobatic team perform in BC when he was just a kid.
Bit of a big thing, you know, they cause a stir. Got to see the Snowbirds when they're in town, even in BC.
Those are the types of experiences many say they will miss while the squadron is grounded after this season. It's a hard pill to swallow for the city's tourism sector.
Financially, it's not good and it will hurt.
This restaurant owner says sales increase 5-fold when the Snowbirds perform during Moose Jaw's air show, one of the biggest summer attractions.
People come from all over Canada, even the northern parts of the U.S. to watch these.
You can find signs of the iconic Tudor jets across the city of Moose Jaw, including here at the Western Development Museum, where tens of thousands of people visit every year.
Tourism in Moose Jaw is all about experiences, and we're storytellers, and it's about our culture and our heritage, and the Snowbirds are all entwined into that.
Tourism Moose Jaw says it understands the need to replace the aging fleet. For now, they're looking forward to the tourists this summer's air show will bring.
I think it's going to be huge.
Now that they know it will be the Tudor jets last. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
And coming up, they look exactly alike.
I said, when I talk, you do the movements, right? I said that.
We look at the world of the Hollywood body double.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Your Health, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
When it comes to the risks for breast cancer, a lot depends on where we live. The risks are higher outside the larger cities, and it's higher in immigrant and racialized populations. Geneviève Beauchemin has more.
Patricia Russell calls Brampton, Ontario, home, and she's survived breast cancer twice. 2 diagnoses 13 years apart.
It just felt like a kick in the stomach when I was diagnosed. It was a high time in my life, and the doctor told me that you have the bad kind.
It's triple negative, an aggressive subtype. She says she received excellent care. A new study found geography tells the story when it comes to breast cancer risk, mortality, and experts say care. Statistics Canada found the incidence of breast cancer is highest in rural regions of Quebec, Ontario, and the prairies, but also in some urban centres with large immigrant and racialized populations. In contrast, fewer women face a diagnosis in large metropolitan centres like Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, as well as in northern and remote regions.
Having access to data like this is really just so crucial for decision makers and policymakers to have a better understanding of where resources are really needed. So this really does bear out the fact that in many communities outside of the big urban centers, there is that lack of access to being able to book an easy appointment with for a mammogram.
The study also found where you live impacts the risk of dying from breast cancer differently. It's highest in rural eastern regions, lowest in large urban centers where there's better access to treatment and follow-up care. Russell is now doing well and a tireless advocate helping other women through a support group.
I'm very aware and I'm very conscious and passionate about educating, especially women in the Black community, because we tend to not take care of ourselves the way that we need to.
She's also pushing for removing as many barriers to care as possible, no matter where home is. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Business News, brought to you by Au Vieux de Loup, where memories and meals come together.
And now here are some of the day's closing financial numbers. In Toronto, the TSX was up 420 points to 34,161. In New York, the Dow closed up 645 points to 50,009. The S&P 500 finished the day 79 points higher to close at 7,432. And the NASDAQ was up 399 points to 26,270. And the Canadian dollar is trading slightly higher at $72.76 US. In California, Disney is facing a class action suit over privacy concerns. The suit accuses Disney of improperly using facial recognition technology at Disneyland and Disney California Adventures. It seeks $5 million in damages on behalf of people who say the technology was used without their knowledge or consent. Disney says the claims are without merit. In Hollywood, some actors have stand-ins who look just like them. Hannah Bada looks at the world of body doubles.
Me?
I'm pretty loyal.
NBA star Steph Curry is peeling back the curtain on a typically hidden Hollywood talent.
I even use the exact same body double. He doesn't even look like me.
Hi, I'm Steph Curry.
His real name is Court Bivens. He's the Steph Curry you think you're seeing in all these shots. And he's been doubling as the NBA star for more than a decade.
Here we go.
A body double on set would basically act like the person. They'll wear all their clothes, have the same makeup, hairstyle.
And then they also put me in situations too that, of course, they're not going to put the franchise player in. They've almost drowned me before on set. I've almost fallen off a building before.
Steph Curry shared a behind-the-scenes look at Stand-In Life with his body double, as well as the ones for actor Kevin Hart and WNBA star Asia Wilson at this Chase commercial shoot. Stand-In Life is a very underappreciated role. All the different cutaways you see of arms, limbs, back of head. I say that loosely because he's bald. Of course, in Hollywood, there's a fix for that.
I said, when I talk, you do the movements, right? I said that.
But to really sell the illusion, body doubles have to nail the mannerisms.
Now listen, you listen to me.
After 11 years as Kevin Hart's stand-in and photo double, Leroy Tutt has got it down.
But Kevin works out a lot. He has really broad shoulders. So whenever I morph, everything comes in, and now I'm Kevin, and he uses his hands a lot when he talks. I have to furrow my eyebrows and like really get in here. And the moment I do this,
how am I use it in the edit if you don't do what I do?
That's when it kind of locks in.
Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
There's a move to protect a huge tract of land north of Montreal. Now, Caroline, we're talking about 300 hectares in the Laurentians.
That's right. It is an area of Mille-Îles on the site of Lac Tamaracuta. And thanks to an agreement between the Nature Conservancy of Canada and the municipality, nearly 300 hectares of natural habitat will be protected while maintaining public access for the community. Now, the area is home to many tree species, wetlands, and birds, and the site will also help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We'll have more on it on the Late Show. Also, the Montreal Victoire, as we know, will try again to get the Walter Cup tonight in Ottawa. They're playing the Ottawa Charge in the finals, and if the Victoire win tonight, they are the PWHL champs. If not, they have to play another game to decide who's the winner in the best of 5. And also, the Montreal Canadiens held a media availability today. We will hear from some of the Canadiens players about how they feel about their upcoming series with the Carolina Hurricanes. That's all on the Late Show tonight at 11:30. Mitsumi.
Thanks very much, Caroline.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
Alex Newhook has been very impressive for the Habs during the playoffs. He's from Newfoundland, and he's got a lot of fans back home rooting him on. Brian Foley reports.
Over the line comes Newhook, shooting, scores!
I'm still not over it. I can't believe it because, you know, he's so awesome, but at the same time, it's just like it's still kind of setting in.
Thanks to another Game 7 winner by Newfoundland's Alex Newhook, Atlantic pride is at an all-time high for the Montreal Canadiens.
Pretty proud, yeah. No, Alex Newhook, Game 7 hero, both rounds, making the Maritimes proud. And obviously Noah Dobson, new player on the team, and just shutting people down, all their top lines.
4 Habs fans to our left, and one of them knew that it was Newhook. And so about 5 minutes after the goal, we had another celebration.
Jordy Brown and his parents made a Saturday decision to drive to Buffalo for Game 7 and provide some extra East Coast energy.
We've been very fortunate. We've been, supported all along the way. I know they say it takes a village to raise a family, but it takes a community to raise a hockey player too at that level.
Having Atlantic representation on the historic Habs team is something family and friends take pride in.
You know, both times he scored, obviously a huge celebration where I was watching and was able to call my family, and they were obviously celebrating with a lot of their friends.
Yeah, I was so happy for Noah and the Montreal Canadiens, and nice to see a Newfoundlander score the OT goal too as well. So
Atlantic pride keeps rising for original Habs fans and new additions.
To be honest with you, I was a Washington Capitals fan since the 90s.
Montreal fan, believe it or not. Crazy. I mean, a lot of Newfoundlanders are.
Dad kind of threw a Habs t-shirt on me at 4 years old and been a fan ever since.
I didn't really have any say in the matter. I was raised to be a Habs fan.
As for everyone I spoke with, well, here on the East Coast, there is an obvious answer who they want in the Stanley Cup final. That would be, yes, the Colorado Avalanche and the Montreal Canadiens. Brianne Foley, CTV News, Halifax.
And it's going to get a lot cooler, Anastasia.
That's right. We are experiencing weather that is all over the map. Earlier today, we were feeling more like the 29 degrees in Halifax right now. Now we are at 21 in the Montreal area, and overnight we're looking at a move closer to the temperature in Whitehorse. So that's going to be a low of 7 degrees for those of us in Montreal tonight. That's along with a few clouds coming in. But by tomorrow, good news in the skies. We are looking at some sunshine. So we have that to look forward to, not only in the morning, but also continuing into the afternoon hours. And our expected daytime high for tomorrow is looking like 17 degrees. Keeping in mind, of course, as the Grand Prix comes in on Friday, we're looking at a high of 19, so looking a bit warmer then, along with even more sunshine. Friday evening will be cooler though, dipping down to a low of 9. And then get ready, because on Saturday we are looking at some clouds coming in. But along with that, rising temperatures, and we'll have a daytime high at around 21 degrees to look forward to. Mitsumi?
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.